So after India read out the riot act to Pakistan, remember India issued a demarche, a strong demarche to Pakistan's Shari Affairs in New Delhi, summoned him to the Ministry of External Affairs earlier today. This after two staffers of the Indian High Commission in Islamabad, they went missing in the morning. They left the High Commission, they were on their way to the airport. This happened around 8:30 this morning, then over 2 hours initially and then subsequently for much longer, they were missing. Much later, Pakistan said that the two were in custody of the Islamabad police. Pakistan claims it was a hit and run. We are now being told that both the officials of the Indian High Commission, we have their names, but till the families are informed, we are not disclosing those names. Both the officials were assaulted. The official BMW of the Indian High Commission was damaged. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, for more on this story. Geeta, what more can you tell us about the nature of injuries and the assault on Indian officials in Islamabad?
Well, to begin with, concocted charges and a plan that was hatched by the agencies. That's very clear from the modus operandi. The fact that they're talking about a mob having beaten and fought the Indian High Commission officials, Gaurav, let's break it down one by one. If that was the case, then why did it take so long for the Pakistani Foreign Office to reach out to the Indian High Commission officials and say, look, your men have been beaten up by a mob and they're in such and such place? It took them hours before informing the Indian High Commission. Secondly, if it was a mob attack, the injuries would not have been this extensive. What we're being told is that the injuries that these two men have suffered are extensive and they are undergoing treatment. Thirdly, if they're talking about speeding, now after the May 31st decision, Gaurav, after the May 31st decision of India expelling 3 diplomats, can you imagine any Indian official in Islamabad not being careful in the streets of Islamabad? It's absolutely unbelievable to have Pakistan lay out such charges against the Indian officials. And finally, if you're talking about concocted charges, the FIR also has charges of them in possession of fake currency. Again, if they did not have anything else, so then they came up with a charge of fake currency, that the people were in possession of fake currency to the tune of 10,000 rupees in Pakistani currency. So concocted charges by Pakistan, which we've broken down and told you exactly
fake
why
Pakistani
they do
currency.
not stand.
Absolutely
they really
bizarre.
don't hold good. Absolutely, Gaurav. 2 charges in the FIR.
Oh, absolutely. Pakistan currency. It's not worth printing. It's not worth printing that fake currency.
And absolutely, they were. If at all,
Geeta, stay with me for a moment. Let's quickly take a look. Let's quickly take a look at the day's developments today, Geeta. 8:30 in the morning. 8:30 in the morning. Indian officials, they were on their way to the Islamabad airport. They were to pick up some people. There was the driver and of course the official, both of the Central Industrial Security Force. It's their task to provide protection and of course these duties at the Indian High Commission in Islamabad. They suddenly went off the radar. For several hours, the defense attaché, the Shari Affairs, the other officials, they made frantic phone calls across Islamabad trying to figure out where the two had gone missing. And there's a very clear system that they need to call back every half an hour to inform where they are. When they didn't, India reached out to Pakistan's Foreign Office in Islamabad and the Shari Affairs in Delhi was summoned and issued a strong demarche. Geeta Mohan with that top story.
First came the harassment of officials at the Indian High Commission. Now the Pakistan government has gone one step further by arresting 2 staffers, claiming they were involved in a hit-and-run case. Both men belong to the CISF and are posted at the Indian Embassy in Islamabad. They had gone out on duty in an official car, but never reached their destination. The mission officials tried to establish contact, but the two were unreachable. After hours of being untraced, It was known through the Pakistan media that they had been arrested.
It is unfortunate that they are doing this and thereby introducing a fresh strain in India-Pakistan relations. This is not the way civilized countries behave.
Taking a strong note of their arrest, the External Affairs Ministry in Delhi summoned Pakistan's charge d'affaires. India made it clear that the officials should be freed. They should not be harassed or interrogated by the Pakistani authorities.
It is good of the Indian agencies that they didn't give them the third degree, which is normal in such circumstances in India-Pakistan context. Indians tend to be very mild, and in this case they also tended to be overly mild.
The detention of Indian staffers is suspected to be in retaliation to India expelling 2 officials posted in Pakistan High Commission for espionage. Several top Indian diplomats in Pakistan have since then been aggressively tailed over the last several days, and India had even protested against the excessive surveillance.
पिछले कुछ दिनों से जो हमारे डिप्लोमेट हैं, जो हमारे ऑफिशियल हैं वहाँ, उनके साथ बहुत बदतमीजी पाकिस्तान ने की। उनके जब वो ट्रैवल करते हैं उन पर गाड़ी लगा देना, उनकी निगरानी करना, ये हरकत से पाकिस्तान बाज आए।
The diplomatic aggression comes even as Pakistan has been provoking India with multiple ceasefire violations along the line of control. India has been replying strongly to the action on the LOC, even destroying at least a dozen Pakistani military posts in retaliatory fire. With Geeta Mohan and Gaurav Sawant, Bureau Report, India Today.
Ambassador G. Parthasarathy is India's former High Commissioner to Pakistan. He joins us on the broadcast. Also with us is Tilak Deveshwar. He's former Additional Secretary at the Research and Analysis Wing, member of the National Security Advisory Board. Geeta Mohan stays with me on the broadcast. Mr. Deveshwar, if I may come to you first, Pakistan says it was a hit and run. Why, in your appreciation, can this not be a hit and run, and is the job of the agencies in Pakistan?
See, Gaurav, one simple fact that all people who serve in Islamabad are, especially the driver, and they are from the paramilitary CISF, they're all very well trained, they're very careful, especially after the Pakistani diplomats were expelled from India. Everybody would have been extremely careful and trading very, very cautiously to ensure that they do not give any opportunity to provoke. And that's the reason why, though these incidents in Delhi took place almost 2 weeks ago, there was no reaction from Pakistan. I was surprised. Normally they react within 24 hours. And I was expecting that within 24 hours somebody would be expelled from Islamabad. But it took them 2 weeks because I think everybody had hunkered down. Everybody was being extremely careful. And this was the target of opportunity that they felt. So I just don't buy this story of a hit and run, number one. Number two, if there was a hit and run, where is the evidence of the person who was hit? What is his name? What is his, where was he hospitalized? How badly has he been injured? You know, so it just doesn't make sense. And third, I think, and probably the first priority should be that what is the physical and the mental health of these 2 people who have been released? I suspect, as you mentioned, that they were physically assaulted. So we need to know how they are, what kind of condition they are in, and what is their physical as well as mental health. And they will be able to give the true picture of what exactly happened.
Yes, they were assaulted. The vehicle was damaged, trumped up charges, including that of having fake currency. Ambassador Parthasarathy, you've dealt with this. We've had a situation in the past when Pakistan apparently gave electric shocks to one of our senior diplomats, and a raw plane had to be sent to Islamabad to fly him back. You've dealt with the situation in the PMO, when you were in Karachi, also when you were in Islamabad.
Well, let's put it this way, that the Pakistanis' way of functioning and gathering information is crude. The 2 guys who were recently caught in India actually spoke in a place where there were cameras hidden. I mean, they lack professionalism, but they are constantly on the lookout for everything. In fact, if you go back, in my experience in my days as the PMO, we had the military attaché, and incidentally, in the Pakistan High Commission and most High Commissions, the military attaché is an ISI man. He heads the setup. We had Brigadier Zahirul Aslam Abbasi when I was in the Prime Minister's office, and M.K. Narayanan was then the director of the IB. We had this military attaché caught with portions of the Indian Order of Battle, which he had tried to obtain, of the army. So just remember this, and we had to expel him. So this is a function of the ISI. Be very, very clear. It's not like other countries where you have intelligence organizations, but which are split, highly centralized. But coming back to these cases, Abbasi finally went back.
Stay with me for a moment, Ambassador. Yes.
Yes. And he was went to Siachen and got back.
I want to bring in Geeta for the condition of our two officials. Yes, Geeta, if you can hear me, what's the condition of our two officials? How badly are they injured? Have they been in a position to state exactly what happened?
The treatment is underway. The medical examination was going on when they were brought back to the High Commission. What we're given to understand and what we've been told through our sources is that they're yet to give all the details out of what actually happened. So we do not have their version yet, but the injuries are extensive. They are seriously and grievously injured, which is not just a mob attack where people stop their car and beat them up and waited for the cops to come. It's beyond that. So in all probability there was some sort of torture in custody as well. We'll again have to wait and see what their version really is going to be. But the charges certainly are concocted, not just about the hit and run case. At a time like Tilak Deveshwar was saying, after the May 31st event, it is impossible for any Indian diplomat, official or staff to take the chances that Pakistan officials say or claim that the driver had taken. One, and secondly, fake currencies, impossible for them to be doing that or having done that in the past as well. So right now it seems like Pakistan is just playing a tit for tat.
Okay, Mr. Deveshwar, there are conflicting reports that are emerging even from the Pakistani media. While one channel in Pakistan claimed it was a hit and run and they ran away and then they were caught by the police subsequently. Another channel claimed that they were trying to run away, the mob stopped them and the mob assaulted them and the mob broke up the car. A third report seems to indicate one person was injured, one civilian apparently. Another report seems to indicate that multiple civilians were injured. It seems Pakistan hasn't been able to put together a coherent story. Rather a crude attempt than this.
See, all these stories are absolutely fall flat simply because this car, all Indian High Commission cars are tailed. So there would have been an intelligence man on a motorcycle following this car from the minute it left the High Commission. And therefore, if an accident had taken place, and as you said, there are conflicting stories about the accident, that motorcycle intelligence fellow would immediately have called on his handset or walkie-talkie or whatever, would immediately have called and narrated what had happened. Now, all this is a concoction and afterthought that something like this had happened. They were out to find some people. They found these two people after 2 weeks, and they decided to go and pick them up as targets of opportunity. There is no way that even if there was an accident, these two people would have tried to run. That's not the way the training is given to diplomats and officials in a foreign country, especially a hostile country like Pakistan. There's no way that where are they going to run? You know, the road is so crowded now from Islamabad to Rawalpindi. If they were going to the airport, where would they run? They would know precisely there's no place to go. They'll be beaten up. They would have stayed there. There's no way they would have been able to try and escape.
Okay. Ambassador Partha Sarthi, India summoned Pakistan's Shari Affairs and told him in no uncertain terms, virtually reading out the Riot Act while issuing a démarche saying our staffers should not be hurt, they should not be interrogated, they should not be harassed. The responsibility lies with the Pakistani establishment. What, in your appreciation, made Pakistan give up our men within 12 hours?
Look, they had to give them up because once they are in Pakistan, their life and safety becomes the responsibility of the receiving state. So they're not going to see that someone disappears from the scene. That will depict them in a very, very poor light. This is standard Pakistani procedure. Get hold of an innocent. There have been cases they have picked up guys from their residences with their wives screaming. American Independence Day, the year 2000, just after Kargil, I can even give you the date. So that's the way they operate. This is crude. This is not a sophisticated intelligence service like, say, the MI5 in England. It's or I would say even like our intelligence bureau. So they're crude military fellows. They do this. Now, I think what is happening is they are now getting a bit worried. They're out of the scene. They're stuck up in Afghanistan. They have problems with the Pashtuns in Waziristan itself, apart from, despite handing everything to the Haqqani network. They have deep internal problems. What better tamasha than to arrest 2 or 3 Indians? I said, 3 of them going in a car, can you beat it? They know where they're going. They have to fill up the logbook. They know that they have instructions that everything shall be signed as to where they came and where they went. The details are in the logbook, including mileage. So I think
Sir, stay with me for a moment. What should India's response be in such a situation? Tilak Deveshwar. Yes, Mr. Deveshwar, what should India's response be?
The first thing, as I said, is the safety, the health, physical and mental health of these 2 people. That's the first priority. I think everything else can follow. Secondly, they need to be debriefed to know. So the Indian version must be put out, the Indian version aside must be put out as soon as possible, possibly by tomorrow morning. Whatever actually happened, those facts should be placed on the ground so that Pakistan doesn't try and run away with the narrative. Over the longer term, I for one have always believed that there is no need for either for India or to allow Pakistan to such large missions in each of those countries. They achieve nothing. They are just targets. They're sitting ducks over there. We should reduce drastically the size of the mission to a second secretary level to function as a post office, and likewise throw out all the Pakistanis who are based over here and get them to reduce them to 5 people, including 1 diplomat, and that's it. That way you will restrict the kind of injury and the damage that is being done to our officers.
That's a very important point you make.
People. So this must be.
Why should they have 110 people in our country? Absolutely. Why should we have 110 people in their country? Very important point you make there. Ambassador Parthasarathy, you concur. Why should you have 100+ staffers in each other's countries?
Look, the reason is that these staff considerations are decided reciprocally on how much each side will have. That is decided by the 2 governments, and we keep it very strictly equal. This is negotiated power. They've negotiated this long time ago. But if one feels that the safety is not there, you can tell it we want to reduce it from 18, 90, but you need security staff and so on. So it can't be that minimal, but certainly 15, 20, including all staff, yes, I have no problem. Because really now, to me in Karachi, my job was visas. Because
Pakistan's a hostile country.
No, the fact of the matter is, you do have people in Pakistan who are quite disgruntled and who want to visit India. So you got to play it by what the feeling circumstances are there. And certainly there are people friendly to India. You can't treat them on the same path.
Fair enough.
But yes, but yes, towards their officialdom,
Ambassador Parthasarathy, stay with me for a moment. I want to now shift focus to the other big story we're tracking here on India Today, and that is efforts to bring down tensions at the India-China line of actual control. So, commanders on ground, both at the level of the brigade and the battalion, they've been interacting with each other, and they've been having a series of interactions. There has been, according to reports coming in, India Today's Abhishek Bhalla reporting, limited disengagement of troops at more locations. This is because of constant conversation on either side. Sources are telling India Today that after the June 6 talks between the commanders at the level of the corps commanders, there hasn't been a massive movement of withdrawal, but there has been some withdrawal. No incident or any face-off between troops of both sides reported since conversation started. Sources have also said that these talks are being held now at the level of battalion commanders, because they are the officers at the tactical level who know what needs to be done next. Once again, I want to bring in Ambassador Parthasarathy on this. Ambassador Parthasarathy, is this the best road ahead, that the tactical commanders talk for restoration of LAC? And is that actually going to happen?
Look, you've had the meeting at Lieutenant General's level, which is really a corps commander's level, and they have laid down where they are headed for. Right now, I think what you're headed for is from the river side, they would be pulling back. I would like to see more from the lake side withdrawal, but that will come later on. What is happening is an easing of tensions, not allowing people to get into scrap with each other, which is unseemly, or people getting trigger happy. Cool withdrawal at certain designated areas. But let me make it very, very clear. This is going to be a long process. I don't see from the Pangong Lake, they're pulling back from 4 to 8, which is crucial. And I think that is going to be a longer negotiation. But I would think their basic objective of this was to somehow or the other halt the road construction which leads towards the Aksai area and certain towards Daulat Beg Oldi. That has
which
been
clearly
their
is
one
not
aim.
happening.
That it is.
Okay.
Even before this ended, we announced
That
we were
they're not
sending in
achieving.
11,000 workers to do it. So what I'm saying is stand firm on that, see that they are properly protected, because I think communications is what is worrying the Chinese, and they have pretty good communications. So we owe it to our soldiers, we owe it to ourselves. See that as the government has determined, those workers you sent in, get your work done.
Stand firm. Let's not be in a desperation to solve this till the time the dragon doesn't retreat. We will track the story very closely. Ambassador Parthasarathy, Mr. Tilak Deveshar and Geeta Mohan. For the moment, many thanks for joining me. That is all I have time for on India First this evening. Many thanks for watching.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.